Good morning and welcome. Today we're going to talk about the power of imagination. When most people hear the word imagination, they think of child's play, make-believe, fantasy, daydreaming, something nice but not serious, something you grow out of as you become an adult and face reality. But imagination isn't escapism, it's not frivolous, and it's not something to set aside when real work begins. Imagination is creative power itself. It's the faculty through which spirit works in you to bring the invisible to visible, to turn potential into actual. It helps make the unseen seen. Imagination is quite literally the workshop of God. In the 12 powers, imagination is associated with Bartholomew, also known as Nathaniel. He's one of the often overlooked disciples, mentioned only briefly in Scripture, but what we know about him is telling. When Philip told him about Jesus, Bartholomew's response was skeptical. Can anything good come from Nazareth? He wasn't being mean, he was being realistic. Nazareth had a reputation. Nothing important had ever come from there. Why would it start now? But when Jesus saw Bartholomew approaching, he said something remarkable. Here's a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. Bartholomew was honest. He was genuine. He saw clearly. And when Jesus demonstrated that he'd seen Bartholomew under the fig tree before Philip called him, Bartholomew's imagination opened. He could suddenly see what he hadn't been able to see before. He declared Jesus the Son of God, the King of Israel. His imagination had been activated and everything changed. This is where imagination is located in the body, according to Charles Fillmore, between the eyes, the third eye point, the visioning center. This is the place of spiritual sight, of perception beyond the physical, of seeing what isn't yet visible. When your imagination is activated, you see possibilities where others see impossibilities. You see solutions where others only see problems. And you're able to see the divine perfection beneath the appearance of limitation. Neville Goddard, a 20th century mystic and teacher, spent his entire life teaching one central idea. Imagination creates reality. Not metaphorically, not sort of actually. He taught that your imagination is God in action. When you imagine something vividly, when you feel it as real, when you live in that imagined state, you set creative forces in motion that must bring that imagined reality into the physical form. This isn't wishful thinking. This is spiritual law. From a unity perspective, we understand this completely. Imagination is where creation begins. Before anything can manifest in the physical world, it must first exist in imagination. God imagines creation and it comes to be. Let there be light, and there is light. The word, the thought, the imagination precedes the form, always. Think about it. Nothing exists in your physical reality that wasn't first imagined. Every building you've ever walked into was imagined by an architect before a single brick was laid. Every invention, from the wheel to the smartphone, existed in someone's imagination before it existed in their hands. Every relationship you have begun with imagining, wondering, a vision of connection. Even your current life circumstances, the good and the challenging, were once imagined, either consciously or unconsciously. This is both the power and the responsibility of imagination. You're always imagining something. The question isn't whether you're using your imagination. You are. The question is what you're imagining. Are you imagining limitation or possibility? Are you imagining fear or love? Are you imagining scarcity or abundance? Failure or success? because whatever you consistently imagine, you create. Neville Goddard taught a technique he called living in the end, or mental rehearsal as prayer. Here's how it worked. Instead of wishing for something to happen, instead of hoping for it, instead of asking God to please make it happen, you imagine it's already done. You don't imagine the process of getting there. You imagine the end result. You imagine the feeling of having it already achieved, received, and become it. If you want healing, you don't imagine yourself being healed. You imagine yourself already whole, already vibrant, and moving through your day with ease and energy. Feel what it feels like. Live in that state in your imagination. If you want a new job, you don't imagine the interview. You imagine yourself already in the job, doing the work, receiving the paycheck, feeling the satisfaction. You make it so real in your imagination that your body responds as if it's happening now. This is not pretending, this is creating. Mental rehearsal creates neural pathways in your brain. Athletes know this. They visualize the perfect performance over and over. Their bodies learn it. Their brain can't tell the difference. And that's important to know. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. Performers know this. They rehearse mentally before they rehearse physically. Mystics know this. They imagine unity with God so completely they experience it. This is prayer, not begging, not pleading, not trying to convince God to give you what you want. Prayer is imaginative participation in your desired reality. It's aligning your consciousness with the truth you want to experience. It's really about entering the feeling of the wish fulfilled and living there until the outer world catches up with the inner vision. Here's what stops most people. They can't imagine it. They literally cannot conceive of the life they say they want. When you ask someone to imagine their ideal life, their dream come true, their highest vision, they often draw a blank, or they imagine something small, something safe that doesn't stretch them too far beyond what they already know. This is the real barrier, not lack of resources or opportunity, not bad luck or bad timing. The imagination is the barrier. When people say, I can't imagine that, they're telling the truth. And if they can't imagine it, they can't create it. You can't create what you can't conceive. If you can't see it in your mind's eye, you can't manifest it in your life. This is why expanding your imagination expands your possibilities. The wider your imaginative capacity, the more options you have, the more paths you can see, the more creative you can become. Most people are living in inherited imaginations. They're imagining their lives based on what they saw growing up, what their parents modeled, what their culture told them was possible for someone like them. These aren't their imaginations. These are borrowed visions, hand-me-down dreams. Think about the stories you inherited. No one in our family goes to college. Women don't do that. People like us don't make that kind of money. We've always struggled with our health. Relationships never work out for me. These are imagination scripts written by someone else, and you've been living them without realizing you had a choice. Breaking free from inherited limitations starts with recognizing that these aren't your imaginations. They're not ultimate truth. They're just patterns, habits of thoughts, stories that got passed down. And you can choose a different story. You can imagine something new. You can be the one who goes to college, who does that thing women aren't supposed to do. Hopefully a lot of people want to do that thing. And be the one who makes that kind of money or heals the family pattern, who has a relationship that works. But first, before that, you have to give yourself permission to imagine it and want it, and permission to see it as possible. And this is the power of what if. This is where that comes in. What if it worked out? What if it could happen? What if there's another way? What if the impossible is just improbable? And the improbable happens all the time. What if you're more capable than you think? What if your limitations are learned, not inherited? What if everything you've been told about who you can be and what you can do is wrong? Questions. Opening imagination. Questions always open imagination. Statements close it. When you say, I can't, you shut the door. When you ask, what if I could? You crack it open. Curiosity is a spiritual practice. Wondering is sacred work. I wonder what would happen if is the beginning of creation. This is imagination as the gateway to transformation. You must imagine yourself differently before you can be different. You can't become what you can't envision. The caterpillar doesn't have the capacity to imagine the butterfly, but you do. You can imagine beyond your current circumstances, beyond whatever current limitations you're faced with, beyond your current identity. You can see the highest version of yourself and begin to live into that vision. In Unity, we call this visioning work. We practice holding the high watch, which means seeing the divine perfection in ourselves and others, even when the appearance suggests otherwise. When someone is sick, we don't deny the illness, we acknowledge it, but we don't let the appearance of illness be the final word. We imagine their wholeness, we see them healed, vibrant, radiating divine life. We hold that vision steadily until they can hold it for themselves. But there's a difference between imagination that transforms and imagination that just distracts. There's a difference between prophetic imagination and fantasy. Fantasy is escape from what is. It's avoiding reality by disappearing into an imaginary world where everything is perfect and you don't have to deal with what's actually in front of you. Fantasy feels good in the moment, but it doesn't change anything. And it's passive. It's a retreat. Prophetic imagination is different. It sees what could be and calls it forth. It looks at what is and imagines what could be instead. Not to escape, but to create. The prophets in Scripture used imagination this way. They imagined justice where there was oppression, or peace where there was war. They imagined restoration when there was exile. And their imagination wasn't just a nice thought. It was a vision so powerful it inspired action, mobilized communities, and changed history. Martin Luther King Jr. stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and said, I have a dream. He didn't say I have a plan. He didn't lay out a strategy. He painted a picture with his imagination. He described a future so vividly that people could see it and feel it. And that imaginative vision became a movement that transformed a nation. It's still transforming. We still have a ways to go, but transformed a nation. That is prophetic imagination. That's imagination as a source for transformation. Every visionary, every mystic, every innovator, imagination is the way they create. They see what doesn't exist yet, and they hold that vision until it manifests. They don't give up when the current reality contradicts the vision. They understand there's a lag time, a gestation period between imagination and manifestation. Nothing is instant. Everything takes time to come into form. This is where wishful thinking and true visioning diverge. Wishful thinking is passive and vague. I hope things get better. I wish I had more money. Wouldn't it be nice if? There's no energy behind it. There's no commitment. There's no feeling. It's just a fleeting thought that dissipates as quickly as it arose. Visioning is active and specific. I see myself thriving. I see myself financially abundant. I see myself living in alignment with my purpose. Visioning is imagination plus intention plus feeling. You can feel the difference in your body. Wishful thinking feels light and airy, insubstantial. Visioning feels solid, grounded, and real. Your body responds to a true vision. Your heart beats faster, your energy rises. You feel it as if it's already happening because in the realm of imagination, it is. Faith and imagination work together. Faith perceives the truth. Imagination conceives the form. Faith says, all things are possible with God. Imagination says, here's what that looks like in my life. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Imagination is the faculty that sees the unseen and makes it seeable. Abraham and Sarah are perfect examples. They were old, well past childbearing years, and God told them they would have descendants as numerous as the stars. The physical reality said, impossible, but Abraham went outside and looked at the stars and imagined descendants. He saw them. He felt them. He lived in that vision. And again, against all odds, against all appearances, Isaac was born. Imagination and faith working together. Moses imagined freedom before the Red Sea parted. Jesus imagined healing and people were healed. Nikola Tesla saw his invention fully formed in his mind before he ever built them. He could walk around them, examine them from every angle, test them, all in his imagination, and then he'd build exactly what he'd seen. Every innovator, every creator, every person who's ever brought something new into the world has done this. They've seen what doesn't exist yet and held the vision until it materialized. But here's the challenge. The lag time between imagination and manifestation, there's always a gap. You imagine it today, it doesn't show up tomorrow. It might not show up next week or next month, maybe even next year. This is where people give up. They imagine something, they hold the vision for a little while, they don't see immediate results, and they decide it doesn't work. They abandon the vision and go back to imagining limitations. But everything has a gestation period. An oak tree doesn't grow overnight. A baby doesn't appear the moment of conception. There's time of invisible growth, of development and formation. Your vision is the same. Just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not forming. You have to tend the vision like a garden. You water it with your attention, you weed out the doubts, you protect it from naysayers, you keep holding it, feeling it, keep living in it until the outer world catches up with the inner vision. Charles Fillmore, one of Unity's co-founders, understood this. He had a vision of a worldwide spiritual movement, a publishing house that would spread truth teachings across the globe, a prayer ministry that would serve millions. And he held that vision with such intensity that he said, I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm. That is not passive wishing. That's active visioning. That's also one of my favorite quotes. That's imagination on fire. And Unity grew into exactly what he imagined and continues. So how do you apply this? How do you actually use imagination to transform your life? Start by asking yourself, where are you living in inherited imagination? What stories about yourself, about what's possible for you, did you inherit from your family, your culture, your past? Which of these stories are you ready to release? What have you convinced yourself is impossible? Make a list. Write down everything you told yourself you can't do, can't have, or can't be, and then ask, is that actually true? Or is that just failure of imagination? Here's a powerful question. That's been asked frequently, but it is powerful. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? If failure wasn't an option, if you were guaranteed to succeed, what would you go for? What would you create? Who would you become? Let yourself imagine that without censoring, without qualifying, without immediately listing all the reasons why it won't work. What does your highest vision for your life look like? Not a realistic vision, not a safe vision, your highest vision. The one that makes your heart beat faster. The one that feels too big, too much, too impossible. That's how you know. That's the vision worth holding. Now start practicing. Make it a daily practice to spend time in your imagination, visioning your life as you desire it, not as you fear it, not as it currently is, but as you desire it. See it, feel it, live it for a few minutes every day. Use mental rehearsal. Neville Goddard's technique is simple. Imagine a scene that would occur after your desired life is fulfilled. Not the process of getting there, but the end result. If you want a new home, imagine yourself walking through the front door, feeling the satisfaction of ownership, looking around at your space. Make it vivid. Engage all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you feel? Stay in that scene until it feels real. Create affirmations that engage your imagination. Not just, I am prosperous, but I see abundance flowing into my life from every direction. I feel the security of divine supply. I live in the consciousness of plenty. Make it specific enough to see, to feel, and to just really inhabit it. And here's a critical piece. Catch and redirect your negative imagination. Worry is imagination gone wrong. Anxiety is creative imagination or creative visualization in reverse. When you find yourself imagining worst case scenarios, playing out all the ways things could go wrong, just stop. Recognize that you're using your imagination, but you're using it against yourself. And then consciously redirect. What if it goes right? What if there's a solution I haven't thought of? What if this works out better than I can imagine? Your imagination is powerful. It's always working. The question is whether you're directing it consciously or letting it run on autopilot, replaying old patterns, old fears, old limitations. So let's take a few moments to practice conscious visioning together now. So find a comfortable position and take a nice deep breath and let your body relax. Take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax even more deeply. If you're comfortable and it's safe, go ahead and close your eyes. If not, just soften your gaze. When you're ready, bring your awareness to the space between your eyes, that center of imagination, the visioning center. Imagine a soft light there, awakening your capacity to see beyond the physical, to perceive what's possible. Now bring to mind something you deeply desire for your life. It might be healing, a new opportunity, a transformed relationship, financial abundance, creative expression, inner peace. Whatever it is, bring it clearly into your imagination. Don't imagine the process of getting there. Imagine the end result. Imagine it's already done. What does that look like? What's it feel like? Where are you? What are you doing? Who's with you? Make it vivid. Make it as real as you can. Engage all of your senses. See it, feel it, hear it, smell it, taste it. Bring life to the vision. Live in the vision as if it's happening right now. Because in the realm of spirit, it is. This is your reality in divine mind. Feel the joy. Feel the gratitude. Feel the peace. Breathe in. Let your body respond to this vision as if it's real. Because to your imagination, it is real. Rest in this vision now as we get ready to enter our moment of silence. Let this vision imprint itself on your consciousness. All right, it's time to gently bring your awareness back to your body, back to whatever room you're in or location you're in. And when you're ready, open your eyes, knowing that the vision you just held is working in you, through you, as you, to manifest in your life. Here's what I believe to be true. Imagination is your divine birthright. You are made in the image and likeness of God, and God creates through imagination. So do you. You are always creating with your imagination. Every day, every moment, you're imagining something, and that something is forming your experience. The question, again, is not about whether you use your imagination. You're always using it. The question is, are you imagining the life you want or the life you fear? You have the power to reimagine your entire life. You can look at where you are and imagine something completely different. You can break free from inherited limitations. You can expand beyond what you thought was possible. You can see yourself healed, whole, prosperous, creative, loving, loved, free. And when you hold that vision steadily, when you live in it, when you feel it as real, the universe must respond. Spirit must move, form must follow. And so it is. Thank you.